Helicopter landed in the middle of cricket field. Hello, everyone. This is the Cricket Forum, your place for the latest news, views, rumors, and gossips in the world of cricket. Coming up also in today's show, 590 players shortlisted for Tata IPL 2022 mega auction. West Indies win should not plaster over allegations. Easton McMorris, the former West Indies and Jamaica cricketer, has died. And cracking match in semi-final of Under 19 World Cup. With in the second match presently going on, India winning the toss and elected to bat are 23-1 against Australia. Hello everyone, welcome. This is the Cricket Forum. Today's show is brought to you by the Dealmaker Store. If you're looking for a reliable, clean, affordable pre-owned motor vehicle to buy and you are living in the Caribbean, please click the link in the video description and support the Dealmaker Store. I want to say thank you to the people at the Dealmaker Store for sponsoring today's show. And please slash a like on the video, share, and subscribe. Now, they play in Chittagong in Bangladesh. You're aware that the Bangladesh Premier League is presently going on. So at Chittagong, a place named the Maazi Stadium, cricket stadium in Chittagong, Bangladesh, while the Minister Group Dhaka, that's the name of the team, Minister Group Dhaka, were having a training session. It's Iqbal Tamin and Andre Russell were a part of the training session. A helicopter suddenly appeared and landed on the field. Obviously, the players get scared. People were scattered and they were taking cover. But the thing is that this helicopter was landed on the field to pick up an ill patient to take to the hospital. So although the team management wasn't aware of it, although the organizers of the tournament was not aware of it, all protocols were followed. It's just that they were not aware. But all permission, all protocol regarding the local authority, regarding the aviation, the people who run the airspace and so on, everybody were notified that this helicopter was going to land and pick up this patient that is very ill that need transportation to a hospital. The players weren't aware of it. The team managers weren't aware of it. The organizers of the BPL, the Bangladesh Premier League, they weren't aware of it either. But it said that they did not need to be aware of it. Mark you, courtesy could have been extended. But no protocol was breached. They not being informed because all the local authority was informed and it said that this patient was critically ill. The officials were aware of it. Everybody who needs to be aware. In other words, if they were not there training, everybody who need to be aware for this to happen, for the helicopter to land and pick up the critically ill patient, all of those officials were made aware. There's another argument that they did not know that at that specific time that players were there training. They were unaware. That's the argument coming out, that they were unaware that players were there training, and that could be the reason why the players were not informed, why the Minister Group Dhaka team management were not informed also. So all wells that ends well, it's what it is. The players were training this critically ill patient, which is more important than the cricket. Mark you, that to get the patient to hospital as quickly as possible, it's more important than the cricket. It's far more important than the cricket. So I can understand these players were shocked, but the right thing the right thing was done. It's just a matter that they were not informed, but the local officials, the authorities were saying they were not aware that at that specific time, players were at the Mahazi Stadium in Chattanooga practicing. The former Bangladeshi captain, Ikmal Taim, and Andre Russell of the West Indies, two superstars in the world of cricket, were at the time practicing. So all wells that ends well is what it is. Please remember, slash a like on the video. Please, I'm asking you, slash a like on the video, share and subscribe. Now the shortlist for the IPL, for the Tata IPL 2022 mega auction have been out. The list, which was originally 1,214 players, have been trimmed to 590. This net of 590 also include 44 players who the franchises requested to be added. So the 914 players who were registered, 44 were added to that, give you 1,258. So 1,214 players registered. Furthermore, the franchises asked for 44 players to be registered, to be added. And it is fair to assume that these 44 players are in the 590. So 590 players have been shortlisted for the IPL Tata 2022 mega auction to take place in Bengaluru next Saturday and Sunday. Of the 590, 355 are uncapped players, 228 are capped players, and 7 are from associate members. A capped player is one who represented his country. Like you have played for India or West Indies or England or Australia and so forth. Those are called capped players. Uncapped players are those who have never represented their test team, their international team. So those are the uncapped players like Kennard Lewis of Jamaica and West Indies, who have never represented West Indies. Naeem Young, who have never represented the West Indies. I know the West Indian names because obviously I'm a West Indian, so I would know the West Indian name. But I wouldn't be able to say like Ben Cutlin. I think he played for Australia already, but I don't know. But Ben Cutlin is in the action. If he had never played for Australia, he would have been an uncapped player. But if he played, he's a capped player. So if you have not represented your international team, you are classified as an uncapped player. And capped players are those who have represented their international team. And the associate members, those are the level below full membership in the ICC. So 355 uncapped players, 228 capped players, and 7 associate members player in the draft. The Punjab Kings, what's the name? The Punjab Kings, they will be going into this auction with the highest amount of money. They have 72 crore taken into this auction. And they also have the largest number of overseas slots, the maximum largest number of overseas slots of 8. So they can choose 8 overseas players. That's the maximum number. They don't have to choose 8, but that's the maximum number that is allowed for them to choose, 8. So they are going to in this auction with the ability, having a 72 crore purse, because they have only used up 18 crore out of their purse so far. The maximum amount of money that they could bid for players for the 2022 season is 90 crore. So they have used up 18 crore already, retaining 3 players. So they are going into the auction with the highest amount of money, 72 crore, while Delhi Capitals, on the other hand, who have retained 4 players, which was the maximum number of players allowed that a franchise was allowed to retain. So Delhi Core have retained 4 players, and they are going into the auction with 47.5 core, making them the lowest, having the lowest amount of money going into the auctions. So we'll see how this goes. They only have 47.5 core, but CSK, Chennai Super King, Calcutta Knight Riders, and Mumbai Indians are just ahead of them with 48 cores. So that's Calcutta Knight Rider, Chennai Super King, and Mumbai Indians. They only have 48 cores. So they are just 5.5 half a core above what Delhi Capital has. So it will be very interesting. It will be very interesting to see how these teams, what these teams do at the auction. This auction is shaping up to be very, very interesting. And remember, it's a mega auction. So once you buy a player at this auction, you can have that player for the next 3 years. You can retain that player for the next 3 years once you buy a player at this auction. So it's very, very, very interesting. Delhi Capital have the smallest amount, but you could say Chennai Super King, Calcutta Knight Riders, and the Mumbai Indians are not in a much better place because they have 48 core, while Delhi Capital have 47 core. So four of the 10 teams are going into the mega auction with less than 50 core to spend. And while KKR, because obviously I am out of India, so I'm looking at the overseas slots. So while KKR can only fulfill 6 overseas slots, okay, because they have already registered Narayan and Andre Russell. So Sunil Narayan and Andre Russell have already registered with the KKR. They have already retained them. And each franchises only allow a maximum of 8 overseas players. And KKR have registered 2 already, Sunil Narayan and Andre Russell, both from the West Indies. They only have 6 slots for overseas player, and they only have 48 cores. So from a business perspective, overseas players may not be looking at the KKR. They may not be looking at the KKR from a business perspective because they have a small purse and they have the least numbers of slots for overseas players. While Punjab Kings have the highest number of slots, 8, all the other 8 franchises only have 7 slots for overseas player. That, I shouldn't say only, because that means that they have only selected 1 overseas player so far, each of them. So one franchise who have not yet selected any overseas player, Punjab Kings, have 8 slots for overseas player. KKR, who have selected 2 overseas players, have 6 slots for overseas players. All the other 8 franchises have 7 spots for overseas player, including the 2 new franchise, which is Lucknow Super Giants and the Ahmedabad franchise, which have not yet given the official name for their team. I need to double check that, because to the best of my recollection, and I need to double check that, the 31st of January was a cutoff date for Ahmedabad team. I'm seeing something. I saw something named Team Ahmedabad. That's what they are being called? Team Ahmedabad? Anyway, so Team Ahmedabad, including the 2 new team, Team Ahmedabad and Lucknow Super Giants, including them, they have 7 overseas options. 7. Yes, they have 7 overseas options. But Stonis who have gone to Lucknow. Yes, Rashid gone to Team Ahmedabad. So they have 7. Right. They have 7 overseas options. So all the teams except KKR, who only have 6 slots, and Punjab Kings, who have 8 slots. All the other teams have 7 slots for overseas players. So a maximum of 70 slots are available for overseas players. And of the 590 players who are going into the auction, 220 of them are overseas players. Yeah, so it's just a ratio that one, if the maximum number of overseas players that slots available, if all of those slots should be filled, which is 70, then 1 in 3 overseas players will get by at the auction. So 1 in 3 overseas players will get by at the auction if all 70 slots are filled. Remember, the teams are not obligated to fill all of these slots with overseas players. It's just a maximum, a threshold that they cannot go above, but they are not obligated to fill all of these slots. Should all of these slots be filled, a maximum of 70 overseas players will be purchased at the auction. That is 1 in 3 of the 220 who are remaining in the auction. Now, Australia have the largest number of overseas players that will be taking part in this auction, 47. It's 47. Originally, 59 Australians were registered, but that have been cut to a net 47. I'm not in a position to tell you that if any Australian were added as a request of owners, of franchise owners, but it's very, very likely. But they are coming out with a net of 47 in the auction. And I want to touch back on the Australia and the England players a little bit, but let's just go through this. So 47 Australian, 34 West Indian, which was originally 41 West Indian players originally selected for the auction. Of those 41 West Indian players, Odin Simit, who originally had registered for the auction at the maximum base price of 2 crore, have since dropped his base price to 1 crore. That's very interesting. Don't know the reason. Was that part of the pressuring that is alleged that was coming from officials in the West Indies team? He has since dropped his base price to 1 crore. Is that part of the pressuring? So that is something that needs to be looked for. Why did Odin Simit drop his base price from 2 crore to 1 crore? And all those rumors and all those off-field issues that were alleged to be happening in West Indies cricket last week, and we have not heard anything more about it. But this channel is going to follow up and find out what is going on. But it's very interesting. News is coming out that Odin Simit, who had originally registered for the auction for 2 crore, has now dropped his base price to 1 crore. So of the 41 West Indians that were registered for the auction, only 34 are now in the final 590. Also, South Africa have 33. South Africa 33, they originally registered 48. England and New Zealand 24, Sri Lanka 23. So those are making up the vast majority, of the overseas players who are available for the auction, who have registered and who have made the shortlist for the auction to take place next week, Saturday the 12th of February and the 13th of February at Bengaluru. So interestingly, 7 associate members with Namibia 3, Scotland 2, the USA and Nepal 1 each, making up the 7 associate members who are in the action. I think it probably Ali Khan from the US, and I'm sure that Tim David, the South African born who is now playing for Namibia would also be in it. So 3 Namibians, 2 Scotland, 2 Scottish, 1 American, and 1 Nepal, and 1 player from Nepal make up the 7 associate members who are in that auction. Now, interestingly, that ever since England lost the Ashes, there have been talk from past England players, especially past England players, and you have noted that Root and Stoke are not in the Ashes. Root and Stoke are not in the Ashes. Please, slash a like on the video, share and subscribe. And remember, the people at Dealmaker Store, click the link in the video description and support the Dealmaker Store who are sponsoring today's show. And I want to thank those people at the Dealmaker Store for their kind contribution towards this show. So yes, word coming out is that it is likely that that Australian list and that England list may cut further. It is saying that because Australia will be touring Pakistan towards the end of the month. I think from the 29th of March to the 5th of April. And because of the 10 teams that are now in the IPL, which originally starts in the first week of April, will now start in the last week of March. Those Australian players who are involved in that tour of Pakistan will miss the first week of the IPL if they are drafted. If they are bought at the auction, they will miss the first week of the IPL. It is also said that the English players, who majority of them are on England retainer, 7 figures England retainer, that they may not be allowed, those centrally contracted English players may not be allowed to go to the IPL. England may ban them from going to the IPL and request them to stay and play in their domestic, in their league, in their county cricket championship. I'm hearing that all those England players who will be taking part in the test series starting on the 2nd of June against New Zealand in England must make themselves available to play at least 1 county game by the 19th of May. So that's the information coming out, that the England players who wishes to play in the first test match on the 2nd of June against New Zealand, or should make themselves available, should at least play one county game by the 19th of May. It is also out there, the gossip out there is that England may ban their centrally contracted players who are on 7-figure contracts from playing in the IPL this year. So Australia going to Pakistan, and England cricketers, there's a threat over stopping those centrally contracted players from going to play in the IPL. And if you have ambition of representing in England in the first test against New Zealand on the 2nd of June, you are required to at least play 1 county game by the 19th of May. So the pool for the IPL draft may diminish. This will up the ante for the West Indies players, the South African players, and the other players who are there. Because if the top players from England and Australia is not in the draft, it means then that some players who are not expected to fetch good money are going to fetch good money, and some players who are not expected to be drafted will be drafted. The franchises are warned that Jofra Archer if they should buy Jafra Archer and he's not available to play, they will not get a replacement for him because the ECB has already stated that Archer is injured, although he is in the final stage of his recovery program. He will not be allowed to play in IPL 2022. So if any franchises should select Archer, remember it's a mega auction, so franchises may want to take that chance and secure his services for 23-24. For if they bid for him this year, they will still have his services for 23-24 and will not be involved in a bidding war next year for him. So franchise may be looking at buying him this year, but the General Council of the IPL, the BCCI, not the General Council of the IPL, the BCCI have warned that any franchises that buy Jafra Archer will not be allowed a replacement player because he is already injured and everyone knows that he's carrying an injury. So Australian players who are coyed about touring Pakistan for that ODI series from the, not ODI, for that T20 series, so the white ball series from the 29th of March to the 5th of June, the 29th of March to the 5th of April. It is likely that if they decide to go on that tour of Pakistan, there will be some complications for the franchises who are choosing these players. They will not have their services for the beginning of the tournament. So those are judgment calls. Those are judgment calls. And you can say, well, for the beginning of the tournament, we saw for the last 3 IPL seasons what effect net run rate have. Net run rate have, and those who qualify for the second round, the semi-final stage, the qualifiers for the semi-final stage. We have seen the effect of net run rate and those qualifiers. So you will want your best players to be playing from the beginning. Mark you, Australian and English players are on 7-figure central contract. So those countries can demand that their players don't play in the IPL because they are playing them well. It's not like a centrally retain a contract for $25,000 in the West Indies. It's not like that. It's not like the $25,000 central retainer contract that the West Indies offer some of its players. These are 7 figures retainer contract. So it is likely, it's going to be very complicated. The BCCI have said, however, by the time the auction to come around, they will have clarity. The franchises will have clarity on the players who are available. The franchises have shot back and have said that in the past, we get this information the night before the auction. So while the BCCI is saying that in the coming days, which are only a few days, 10 days to go, it's only 10 days to go before the auction. Yes, it is very close. It's only 10 days to go before the mega auction. The BCCI said in the coming days. What in the coming days means with only 10 days to go. And the franchises are saying that in the past, we have gotten this list the night before the auction. So let's see what is going to happen there. Now, I want to congratulate the West Indies on beating England in the T20 series, in the 5-match T20 series. Congratulations to the West Indies for beating England in the 5-match T20 series. Well done, Hussein, who I think should be the man of the match, but I understand the euphoria of the moment. Because look at it. All have 20 runs to defend in 1 over. 20 runs. The England batsmen have to go at it. I think that Hussein wrecking that middle order. was a key factor. Was the key. I think Hussein contribution, although it was 4 wickets, were more important than Jason Holder contribution. And in my opinion, Jason Holder, Akil Hussein should have been the man of the match. Not taking away anything from Jason Holder. In fact, I love Jason Holder more than Akil Hussein. I love him more than Akil Hussein. He's more of a favorite. I love as a cricketer. I love him as a cricketer. No, there's an argument so that you should. No, I see him as a cricketer. I don't care what he is off the field. I'm not interested in that. I'm talking about as a cricketer. As a cricketer, I like Jason Holder more. I like Jason Holder is one of my favorite players in that team. I like Jason Holder. But I'm just saying that I think that Akil Hussein should have been the man of the match. Well done, Jason Holder. Fantastic cricketer. And I've often said to my friends, I think that Jason Holder is probably the best batsman in the West Indies. I rate Jason Holder and the Jamaican Brandon King as two very, very good batsmen. I think those two, given a long run, well, Jason Holder is in the team, but he's playing as an all-rounder. I think if Jason Holder was playing as a batsman only, and probably batting number 3 for the test team, he would have been an outstanding performer. But I really think Brandon King need a run. I think Brandon King is one of the 2 best batsmen in the region. I see him and Jason Holder. That's my view. That's my opinion. But I think that Akil Hussein should have been the man of the match. So congratulations to the West Indies. Everyone feel good. I feel good. Everyone are feeling good. Everyone are drink a few more beer, drink a few more whiskey, drink a few more champagne because of the win. The Monday morning started so bright. It was a very, very good win by the West Indies. Congratulations. And we're looking forward to the tour of India, which starts Sunday morning, our time, Jamaica time, Sunday morning. So we're looking forward to the tour of India. And we hope to beat India in their backyard. And we hope that those players in the squad perform very well and that they will get good IPL contract. So we are looking forward to that tour. 3 ODIs and 3 T20 starting on Sunday and finishing on the 20th. Then the team will come back to the West Indies to play a test series against England starting the 8th of March. Maybe some of those players who are on that West Indies team in India, if their team in the PSL, the Pakistan Super League, should qualify for the next round, maybe some of those players will go to the PSL before come back to the Caribbean. But let's see. However, there are some things that we should not just let the wind sweep it under the carpet. Allegations were made last week about victimization and bullying. And if you watch those matches, if you watch those last two matches, and you look at Pollard body language, there was a shift. There was a shift in his body language. Now, mark you, Cricket West Indies president Ricky Skerritt, should not have come out and made that statement. That's not the statement of the head of an organization. That's not it. He cannot dismiss those allegations just off the bat like that. Whether they are true or false, you cannot dismiss those allegations before meeting with Weeper. Yes, support your captain, support your team, support the players in the team who are making those allegations. So before Skerritt should come out with that statement, he should have spoken to Weeper before he can come to the conclusion which he came to. And when I heard the statement, the thing that came to me, is this thing really so deep? Because it could be so deep that it's a grand cover-up. So the president of West Indies Cricket have to come out and say, no victimization. No, this is not going on. These are allegations of player pushing their agency and other players is not true? Is it Ricky Skerritt a part of that grand scheme why he came out right away? Why didn't Ricky Skerritt meet with Weeper before he made that definitive statement? Why? I can understand he coming out and said, we support the captain of the team, we support the players, we are going to meet with Weeper, but I have nothing further to say on this issue until I meet with Weeper. I'm just freestyling here, but you know, it would have been worded differently with professional lawyer language, but something to that effect. You just can't come out and dismiss it, son. You have not met with Weeper. You can't, Ricky Skerritt. You can't. It just shows that you have no human resource skill. Who is advising you? And you could see that the bully, Pollard the bully, you could see the chip fell from his shoulder. You could see that he's called to book. He was called to book because it is clear that he has been pressuring player. It appears so. It appears so. Not clear, but it appears so. And there's a lot of rumors coming out that he and another player, he and another official in this team, and another past player. So a past player, he and another official in this team, there are allegations, there are rumors, there are gossip out there that these three individuals in what they call PPP, yes, the slogan is PPP, are pressuring players to join their preferred agency. That's the allegation out there. It's a PPP. What is PPP? Players Pension Plan. That's what I heard. Players Pension Plan. Which Players Pension Plan? Is this officially sanctioned by the West Indies? That's why Skerritt comes out so quick to say nothing like that, and you have not yet spoken to Weeper. How? Why are they spinning this? Why are they spinning this? When it was obvious for everybody to see, look back at the two matches, and you could see that there was no chip on the man's shoulder. One thing was clear though, he was breathing very, very heavily. So it's clearly he's an unfit. The captain of the West Indies cricket team is unfit. The captain of the West Indies cricket team can't pass the yo-yo test. I am saying it here loud and clear. The captain of the West Indies cricket team cannot pass the yo-yo test. He is unfit. If that is the standard by which West Indies cricket is using to measure its players and the 9 players of going to the World Cup, the captain of the white ball cricket team is unfit and he cannot pass the yo-yo test. And I'm saying that loud and clear right here. So there was something very interesting that happens at the end of the match when they were celebrating. Did you see Pollard go for Odin Smith and put him at the front of the queue? What is all that spinning about? What is all that spinning about? Rewatch you in Jamaica. Rewatch you in Jamaica. You never spoke to the young man. We watch you in Jamaica and you never spoke to the young man. Never. Never. You don't speak to him on the field. We saw in Jamaica, we heard in Jamaica how you spoke to the players on the field. You go around, so you go so. No consultation. In the 4th and 5th match, yes, we saw you talking to the players, going close to the players and talking to them. But we don't see any player. It was clear it was not a consultative conversation. It was a dictator conversation. But instead of the bravado style that you used to use in the past before these allegations come out, you are no more humble and don't realize that you are not Lord of West Indies cricket. You don't realize that after you, West Indies cricket will still be here. Get that Ricky Skerritt. Get that Pollard. Get that Simmons. That you, after all of you, West Indies cricket will still be here. Maybe you mash it up so bad that it is not here. So maybe. Who to tell? Maybe that's what's going on. But we hope the public stand up and get rid of you three before you mash up West Indies cricket and it is no longer here. Because maybe that's what happening, you know. Maybe is that it. If they plan to wreck West Indies cricket, we need to find out. Because they are behaving like after them, there's no West Indies cricket. But I would like to think that in the next 2-3 years, there will still be West Indies cricket, and Pollard, Simmons, and Skerritt will have nothing to do with it. That's what I would like to think. So we need to find out if the way they are behaving, if it's that they have planned to wreck West Indies cricket. Because if that's their plan, we probably need to boot them right now. We probably can't wait for next 2-3 years for them to go. So maybe that's something that we need to investigate. What about all those prime ministers who used to call for the resignation of Cameron and went even to Australia to meet with, was it Australia? They went to, I don't remember, but they went to meet with some cricket officials and they were chased away. And so when it comes to West Indies cricket, it's Dave Cameron who talk to, you know, not prime ministers. You remember the embarrassment? I don't remember if it was Cricket Australia or the ICC or what. Some prime ministers from in the Caribbean get up, gone to these people to talk about cricket. They run them. And so when it comes to West Indies cricket, it's Dave Cameron is the man. Is it West Indies? It's Cricket West Indies is the entity that we speak to. Who are you? You might be prime minister of the country, but you don't run cricket. Yes, they embarrass them and run them and say, go back on the yard. Go back on the yard. So we are all of those persons who are calling for the head of Dave Cameron and for Dave Cameron to resign. What are they saying now? Is West Indies cricket running good? When we are hearing about PPP, when we are hearing about players, when we are hearing about officials pressuring players to sign for their agency, when we are hearing about players being blackmailed, being attempt at blackmailing player, we are hearing allegations of attempt of player being blackmailed. So what is really happening? Where are the prime ministers? They're afraid to be embarrassed again. Those prime ministers who have got up and gone to, as I say, I don't remember which cricketing entity they went to, but they were chased away, embarrassed, and said, go home on the yard. We are those prime ministers. Where? Now, on a more somber note, Easton McMorris, the former Jamaican cricket captain, who played 13 test matches for the West Indies, scoring 1 century and 350, have died at the age of 86. Condolences to his family, and we wish them God peace at this time. Easton McMorris, who has played 95 matches for Jamaica, was the first Jamaican captain to win the regional 4-day competition in 1969. He have made 18 centuries and 32 half centuries for Jamaica. Easton McMorris played his first test match in 1960 against Pakistan. He made 13 and 6 in that match. That match was the last match of the series. The next match was the first test match against England, and he ran out without facing a ball in his second test match. He ran out without first. So after making 13 and 16 in his first test match against Pakistan, his second test match was against England. He ran out without facing a ball. He was injured for the next match. So 13 and 16, what a start to his test career. 13 and 16, run out without facing a ball in his next match. Injured for the next match. But thankfully, the next match in Kingston, he returned and he made 73. So he made his first half century in front of his home crowd, just like the 125 that he made, that which was his only test century. He made 125, and that was also at Kingston. Was it against England? I think it was against England. I don't remember. But the 125, yes, man, I'm around long time. I'm around long time. So the 125 was against England, I think. So that was his only test century. So you have 3 half centuries and one century in 13 test matches. He played his last test match on the tour of England in 1966. So Easton McMorris, 13 tests, 95 first class game for Jamaica. I think he averaged about 42 for Jamaica. He probably averaged, how many did he average in test? 20 something? I don't remember his test average, but I know his average for Jamaica is in the low 40s, 42 or so about. So Easton McMorris died Tuesday. He's a former Lucas man. He played for the same club of George Headley and Chris Gale. So the club of George Headley and Chris Gale, Lucas Cricket Club in Rollington Town, Kingston, Easton McMorris played for that same club. Died at the age of 86. 13 tests, 95 first class match for Jamaica. 18 centuries, 32 half centuries for Jamaica. 1 test century, and 3 half centuries for the West Indies. He was the first captain to win the regional 4-day cricket competition for Jamaica in 1969. There's one thing that Easton McMorris said to me, and just before COVID, I think in 2019 or early 2020, I saw it play out. And I heard him with it many years ago. I don't know if it's 10, 15 years ago, but I heard it. So one of the challenges that we are having with cricket is that the games, the local games, like the Senior Cup and the Junior Cup and those other games, they are starting too early. What was his reason for that? What was his rationale? He said that a young man in his mid-20s, early 30s, who wants to play cricket on a Saturday and a Sunday have to choose between his family chores and cricket. So when a game starts at 10 o'clock, that man in all likelihood probably have to leave his home from 8 o'clock in the morning. So the game starts at 10, he has to leave his home from 8 o'clock in the morning. On a Saturday and a Sunday. And then Monday he has to go back, he has to reach work. No, Monday he has to reach work by 8, 9 o'clock. Monday to Friday he has to reach work by 8, 9 o'clock. So that gentleman in his mid-20s, early 30s has to choose between cricket and his home chores. He has to choose between what he needs to do at home. You know, he has to choose between his home chores and cricket. And he said if the games were starting at 12 o'clock, those gentlemen could spend some time and take care of the chores at home. And I saw it, as I said, just before COVID. I don't remember if it was late 2019 and early 20. I was following. In my thing, I can go to cricket match all day. Because of how my thing stay, I can go and watch cricket match Saturday, Sunday, every day of the week. And there was a under 15 competition taking place in Jamaica. And the number of parents that I saw came to that ground and just drop off their children and have to return home. And I remember what Bull McMorris said then. Because those parents does not have time to watch their child for even an hour because there are chores at home to do. There are things that they need to take care of. So McMorris was saying, your life is more than just work and cricket. And if cricket is starting 10 o'clock a morning time, you have to make a decision between home and cricket. Rest in peace, Bull. Rest in peace. Rest in peace. Yesterday in the Under 19 World Cup was a very exciting match. A very, very, very exciting match yesterday in the Under 19 World Cup. England have qualified for the final. Presently, Australia is playing India. India have won the toss and have elected to bat. I'm not getting my feed, but the last time I checked, India were 23 for 1 of 9 overs. So India winning the toss and electing to bat were 23 for 1 of 9 overs. But yesterday there was a very exciting match. England recovered from 135 for 6 in this 36th over. 135 for 6 in the 36th over. Afghanistan failed to push home the advantage and end up making 231 for the same 6 of 47 overs because the match was reduced because of Duckworth-Lewis. So George Thomas at the top of the England order made 50. But despite that, there were still 135 for 6. But then George Bell and Alex Arton. So George Bell and Alex Arton both made half century. George Bell made 56 not out and Alex Arton made 53 not out. So they recovered from 135 for 6 to post 231 for the same 6 of 47 overs. So when Bangladesh batted, all the drama started at the 40, with 4 overs to go. With 4 overs to go, they needed 43 to win. They needed 43 to win of 4 overs. So 47 overs. So at the end of the 43rd over, they needed 43 to win with 4 wickets in hand from 4 overs. 43 to win. A youngster named Sales sold 20 runs in that over. So in the 44th over, Sales sold Afghanistan 20 runs. That's the only way I just think it's a good way to put it. Sales sold for 20 runs. So in other words, Afghanistan got 20 runs of Sales over. The next over bowl, so it end up now that they need 23 from 18 balls. 23 runs from 18 balls with still 4 wickets in hand. So all the odds were in favor of Afghanistan. Now the next over bowled by a youngster named Boyden, Boyden. He bowled a nice tight over and only 4 runs came out of that over. 4 or 5? 4 runs. So they end up needing 19 of the last 2, which is still gettable, 4 wickets in hand. But up step Rehan Hamed, R-E-H-A-N, Rehan Hamed, up step Rehan Mahed. And he got 3 wickets in that over. He got 3 wickets in the 46th over to rock Afghanistan. So well done, England. England have qualified. It was a very, very exciting match. There are 2 things that I need to recommend, and I've said it before. You see, these youngsters in the Under 19 World Cup, it is very exciting. You need to watch some of these Under 19 World Cup matches. And apart from watching some of these Under 19 World Cup matches, I'm strongly suggesting, I'm strongly recommending that you start watching women cricket. I'm strongly recommending. So that's it, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. Please remember, please slash a like on the video, share and subscribe. And remember, don't allow West Indies to spin this Don't allow West Indies to spin this controversy. We need our cricket to be clean of the bully. We need our youngsters going into that West Indies squad. We need them to go in and to be able to concentrate and play cricket, and the officials and seniors leaving them alone, let them play the cricket, and don't like to get involved in these personal and business affairs. Stay out of these youngsters' personal and business affairs. But please share and subscribe this channel, and don't forget to slash a like on the video. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Thank you to the people at the Dealmaker store. So until next time, catch you in a bit.